Good day everyone. Welcome to another Dav Jones Yoga practice. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a 30-minute flow. We'll be looking at the half moon posture. So we'll be looking at ways in which we can now incorporate a lot of the other postures in the similar family of the similar plane of poses, and that is something known as the coronal plane. So any posture where you abduct or adduct the limbs would be then considered as the coronal plane. Sometimes some of you might have heard of it known as the frontal plane. And today's practice we're going to be really looking at ways in which we can activate the gluteus medius. That's one of the main hip stabilizing muscles of your hip. And if we can really activate this muscle, you should notice then hopefully when we do eventually come to the half moon pose itself, it should have the relevant stability and grounding in being able to feel confident and strong in the pose itself. I look forward to sharing the practice with you. Thanks everyone. Okay, let's get started. Then you will see that I have a couple of blocks and a strap for practice. Please make sure you have the similar props. Make your way into an all fours position. Now let's start with just a few rounds of cow and cat. So on the inhalation, roll the shoulders down the back. Bring the chest forward as you gaze up. And as you exhalate, press down for the hands round the spine for cat pose. Inhalation again, move slowly into cow. Exhalation round through the spine, push down, flex the spinal column, cat pose. Inhalation, shoulders depress. You can see my elbow pits turn forward. Do a couple more of these. Paying attention as well to the movement of the shoulder blade and the hips, along with noticing the articulation of your spinal column. Okay, come back to neutral. Gaze down between your thumbs. Draw the front ribs in a little. Extend right leg back. And as you do this, making sure that we're hugging our left hip in. So apologies, I'm going to turn my back to you for a second. So what I mean by that is when you extend the leg back, make sure this left hip doesn't just drop out to the side, to the left. So I'm hugging this left hip in, and you'll immediately feel this engagement of the outer hip muscles. This is that glute medius I mentioned in the introduction a moment ago. So keeping this outer left hip hugged in, slowly lift right foot away from the floor. Keep that left hip hugged in. You'll find that you're able to kind of more so find an even balance now in the hands, or even weight in the hands. Exhale, bring the thigh into the body. Try not to adjust the spine too much, just work on your hip flexion here. Keeping the spine fixed, that left hip hugging in, abduct your right leg to the right. Still try to be honest with keeping the spine fixed, left hip hugging in. And then slowly from here we're going to roll the thigh in and try to turn the foot up and forward. Internal rotation for this right hip. Adduct, bring the thighs towards each other. Keep roughly a 90-degree bend in this knee, flexing at the ankle, and then kick your heel up and back, hip extension. Still try to keep left hip squeezed in. We're going to repeat that same rotation. Thigh into belly, hip flexion. Abduction, external rotation. Good. Internal rotation, roll the thigh in. Foot turns up and forward. And then adduct, thighs towards each other, and kick the heel back for hip extension. Hold it here. Good. And now you're going to go in the reverse direction. Come out to the right. Abduction, external rotation. Internal rotation, roll the thigh in. And then adduct, thighs together, and then thigh to lower belly, hip flexion. Kick the heel back, hip extension. Try not to arch lower back too much, keeping front ribs pulled in a little, lower belly in. One more rotation here, abduction, external rotation, internal rotation, roll the thigh in, whew, and then adduct. Finally, hip flexion, and then set the knee down. Okay, you may wish to Just lighten out the load on the wrist here. Back of the hand on the right hand. Stretching out the extensors of the forearm. Roll out that right hand, find a fist. Do both directions with your rotations. Change for the other side. Knuckle side down on the left hand. Steady breaths here. And again, find a fist with that left hand. Just do gentle circular rotations in one direction. And then reverse, repeat, go the other. Okay, back into all fours. We're going to repeat that same sequence then for the left side. So take left leg back. Squeeze this right hip in. Keep that contained. Be honest and focused as best you can by keeping right hip stable. Left foot lifts off. Now we first off work into hip flexion. Try not to adjust the spine too much. Abduct, go out to the left. External rotation, then internal rotation, roll the thigh in. Adduct, thighs towards each other. And then kick the heel back. Try not to arch the lower back too much. Roughly a 90 degree in the knee, as well as a flexed ankle here. One more time. Flexion, thigh to lower belly. Abduction, external rotation. Internal rotation, keep that right hip squeezed in. And then adduct, thighs together. And then kick heel back for hip extension. Now we're going to go in the reverse direction here now then. So out to the left. External rotation, abduction. Internal rotation, roll the thigh in, foot turns, is reaching forward. Adduct, thighs together, and then flexion, thigh to lower belly. Good, one more time. Hip extension, kick it back, try not to arch the lower back too much. Out to the left, abduction, external rotation. Internal rotation, oh that's a tough one. Adduct, thighs towards each other, and then finally hip flexion. Good, set the knee down. And again, this time let's sit back onto the heels. You might want to shake off the wrists here. Bring both palms together, interlace the fingers, and then just roll out your wrists. Reverse the direction if you can. Okay, hands place forward, tuck the 10 toes. Go a bit wider with your feet, roughly hip width distance. Gaze forward at your hands. Find your downward dog position with your arms. Work on pushing that first knuckle into the floor, and then try to rotate the elbow pits upwards towards the ceiling. So you find external rotation through the shoulder here. Keep pushing forward through the arms so you feel that the shoulder elevates up towards the ears, and then slowly start to lift the knees. If you're quite new to a downward facing dog, more than fine just to keep a bend at the knees. I would prefer that you worked on really owning the pose through the arms and the upper body. And then we could look at then later on, further down the road in your practice, into straightening out the legs. If you do have straight knees, heels down, play with that. If you've got heels down, you may wish to try to lift the 10 toes off the floor. So a few different options there for you, so you just choose wisely whatever suits your body and your current practice. Good, inhalation, lift the heels, ripple the spine forward, shoulders over wrists for plank pose. Little bend at the knees. First we push the ribs to the thighs, then we straighten out the legs, heels are high here. Keep pushing back through the shoulders, and then finally exhale, press heels towards the floor. We'll do that one more time. Lift heels, shoulders move slowly over the wrist, plank pose. Soft bend at the knees, push your front ribs to thighs. Keep the shoulders pushing back, straighten the legs, heels are high, and then press heels downward. Really nice, everyone. Gaze forward at the hands, inhale. On your exhale, one step at a time, walk your feet to the top of the mat. Inhalation, hands to lower legs, half lift. Try to flatten out your spine here, double the chin, gazing down. Keep a bend in the knees, exhale, fold over the legs. See if you can bring your front ribs to rest on your thighs. Inhalation, half lift once again. Now I'm going to get you to heel toe the right foot into the centre of the mat. Cross the left foot over top. And then slowly walk the hands over to your right. See if you can shift the hips to the left. And then we're going to walk the hands to the centre. Do the opposite. Walk the hands over to the left. Shift the hips to the right. See if you can straighten out through the legs. If it's too intense, soft bend in the knees will help. Hands back to the centre. Unravel the legs. Now walk the left foot to the centre of the mat. Cross the right ankle in front. And then first off, just walk the hands to the left. Shift the hips to the right. 3, 2, 1. Walk to centre. Walk the hands over to the right. Shift the hips to the left. Push the hip back a little bit. And again, remember you can bend those knees. Stay 3, 2, and 1. Walk hands to centre. Uncross the feet. Feet roughly hip width distance. Bend at the knees. Push down through your heels. Inhale, slowly start to stand up. Rise the arms above the head. Exhale, hands together, heart centre. Okay, sun salutation A with modification. Inhale, rise the arms. Engage the bum, gently push the hip forward. Exhale, fold forward, hands to the floor. Inhalation, half lift. Same as before, long spine, double chin, flat back if you can. Hands down, step it to plank pose. Lower onto the knees, lean into the hands. Breathe in. Exhale, lower to the floor. Engage the buttocks, pushing the front of the hip into the floor. Roll the shoulders back. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, tuck the 10 toes, sit onto the feet. Find the push through the arms. Same as before, turn the elbow armpits upwards. Lift the knees, the hips, downward facing dog. Okay, 3 breaths. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. It's the same hip rotations that we did in all fours. I now want to do this from a downward dog position. Lift the right leg up and back, straight leg. Bend at the knee 90 degrees, flex at the ankle. Bring a little bend into the standing leg and then hug your left hip in, just a little bit. We'll just do 1 rotation here because it's certainly a bit more challenging. Thigh to lower belly. Keep the shoulders pushing back. Abduct out to the right. Roll the thigh in as the foot turns forward. And then adduct, bring the legs together. Keep the 90 in the knee and then kick the heel back and up for hip extension. Look between the hands. Exhale, see if you can step to the top of the mat. Left foot steps forward. Inhalation, half lift. Long exhale, fold over the legs. Pushing down for the feet. Inhale, standing slowly. Rise the arms all the way up. Reaching tall, gently pushing hip forward. Exhale, hands together, heart centre. Same sequence, everyone, left side. Inhale, rise the arms up. Exhale, folding it forward. Half lift. Try to find that flat back, slightly open chest. I'm drawing the shoulder blades towards each other. Hands to the floor, plank pose. Now again, option to come back onto the knees. Some of you might want to try this without lowering the knees down. Inhale. On the exhale, slowly bring the body to the floor. Good, active bum, squeeze the glutes, shoulders roll back. Inhale, cobra pose. Tuck the 10 toes, sit onto the feet, child's pose. Find the activity in the arms, lift the knees, the hips, downward facing dog. Okay, 3 breaths. Modify your down dog wherever you're at with your practice here. Inhaling, exhaling calmly. Inhaling, exhaling calmly. 1 more breath here. Inhaling, exhaling. Okay, left leg goes up this time. Little bend in the standing leg. Hug the right hip in. 90-degree bend in the left knee, flex the ankle. We first play with hip flexion, thigh to belly. Abduct out to the left, external rotation. Internal rotation, roll the thigh in, foot turns forward. Adduct, thighs towards each other. Keep the 90 in the knee and then kick the heel up and back for hip extension. Look at the hands, inhale. Exhale, step to the top of the mat. Right foot forward, inhale, half lift. Fold over the legs, exhale. Take your time, inhale, standing slowly, rise the arms all the way up. Engaging at the bum, pushing the hip forward, exhale, hands together. Good, everyone, have a breath here, inhaling. Exhaling. Okay, feet hip width distance. Have the feet symmetrical. Come into a chair pose, sit into the hips. Don't worry about the arms. With both hands, find fists, place them on the outer thighs. So I want to see if I can keep my thighs parallel, feet parallel. Inhale. On your exhale, push the legs into the fists and push the fists back against the legs. Breathe out. For the second breath, see if you can increase the effort a little bit more. Inhale. A little bit stronger this time. Exhale, push into the fists, push back against the hands. One more here. Inhale. A little bit stronger again if you can. Exhale. Push against fists, back against legs. Breathe out. Okay, really good. Release. Standing forward fold. Inhale. Half lift. Okay, hands to the floor. Step back. Plank pose. Breathe in. Option to come onto the knees again if you wish. On the exhalation, slowly lower all the way to the mat. Okay, this time round, bring the hands just below the forehead. Stack the hands, rest the forehead on the hands. With your right leg, bring it out to the right. Roughly a 90 degree at the knee, flex at the ankle. Good, then just lift your right foot off the floor. Good, lift as high as you can. Stay 3, 2, and 1. Tuck the left toes, lift the knee, push down for the arms, and then see if you can bring that right leg, float it off the floor, bring it back to where you started, set the foot down and relax. Do the left side, bring it out to a 90 degree, forehead is resting on the hands, lift left heel off, lift the foot as high as it will go. 3, 2, 1. Tuck right toes, knee lifts, pushing down for the arms, float the leg off, and then circle it back into the centre, set the foot down. Good. Hands by your chest, roll the shoulders back. Inhale, lift your chest, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, catch your breath here. Option for a child's pose, of course. See if you can regulate and find some composure for a moment. Inhaling. Exhaling. One more breath here. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, inhale, rise right leg up. A little bit stronger now. Bend the left knee. Hug left hip in. You're going to bend that top leg and then lean the leg over to your left. And seeing if I can activate the hamstring in this top leg by squeezing the foot, the heel, towards the bum. You'll feel a stretch then down the right side of the body. Look between the hands. Exhale, step the foot. More so centre of the mat now between the hands. Spin the back heel down. Stand it up for warrior 2 legs. Okay, I want us to all make sure that we have this alignment relatively in check. So align the knee towards second and third toe. If you find that the knee drops in and there's kind of like tension that's restricting you from directing the knee towards second and third toe, then take the front foot a little bit wider, and that should allow you then that kind of space in the hip and that alignment with the leg. Lean the knee towards second and third until you cannot see the second and third toe. With your right hand, find a fist, place it on the outside of the leg. Push into the fist,
push back against the leg. We're going to do 3 breaths here. Those that want to make it a bit harder, you can of course extend your stance. Inhale, push against fist, back against leg, exhale, breathe out. It should feel as if that right sit bone is tucking underneath. 2 more breaths here. Inhale, push against fist, back against leg, exhale. 1 more here. Inhale, increase the effort if you want to challenge yourself further. Exhale. Whew, okay. From here, find one of your blocks. Come up onto the highest setting. Keep that right hip tucked in. Slowly start to straighten through this front leg until we mimic or work into a Trikonasana triangle position. Left hand's on the hip, roll the top shoulder open and keep your right hip tucked in. Look up if it feels okay for your neck. Option to extend left arm up. If it's too strong for the neck, just look to the floor. Keep that right hip hugged in. 3, 2, and 1. Really good work, everyone. Bend at the knee, release the pose, plank posture, and breathe in. Option to come onto the knees, exhale, lower to the floor. Shoulders roll back. This time we're going to bend at both knees, squeeze the heels towards the bum. While you do this, try not to lose the engagement at the glutes. So throughout the entire knee flexion here, I'm trying to keep my bum active. Slowly lift the chest, keeping the glutes active. Try to bring the heels closer towards your buttocks. Lower your chest. Well done. Have a breath if you need it. And then slowly make your way into child's pose. And slowly rise then for downward facing dog. Breathing in. And breathing out. Inhale, left leg goes up. Bend at the standing knee. Hug the right hip in. And we're going to bend the top leg. 90 degree in the knee. Open up the hip. Lean the leg over to your right. See if you can access that stretch in the left side of the body. Stay 3. Breathe into left ribs. 2. And 1. On the exhale, place the foot roughly centre of the mat between the hands. Spin the back heel down, stand it up, warrior 2. And again, we want to feel that we have or able to tuck this front sit bone towards the right. Leaning the knee towards second and third toe. Do that until the second and third toe is out of view. Left hand, find a fist. Press against the fist, back against the leg. Inhale. Exhale, push. 1, inhale. Bit stronger if you can do it. Exhale, push. Last one, inhale. Exhale. Really great work, everyone. Find your block. Onto this higher setting. I'm still trying to keep this left sit bone tucked under, and then I slowly straighten through left leg. Good. Roll top shoulder open. Good. And then slowly option to extend right arm. If it feels okay for your neck, turn the gaze, look up at the hand. Stay 3, 2, and 1. Really great work, everyone. Gaze at the floor, bend at the knee, release the pose, step it back, downward facing dog. Okay, breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling, option to rest, of course, in your child's pose. Okay, we're going to repeat then. We're going to go back to the right leg. Rise right leg up, little bend in that standing leg, hug left hip in. Exhale, thigh into belly. Step right foot to the top of the mat. This time around, I'm going to place the right foot more towards your right hand. Spin the back heel down, find your block. Now with this block, I want you to place roughly about a foot distance away from this front foot. About a 2 o'clock position, if you imagine the hands on a clock. If you go to roughly 2 o'clock. Now feel free when you come into the balance in a moment to experiment with different placements of the block. So for each individual out there, you're going to find that different positions are going to perhaps suit you more. Now before I load into my half moon, I'm going to roll this right hip in. Good. Slowly then start to distribute the weight into this front foot. Keep pushing down, get light on the toes in the back leg. This is where I feel I'm going to adjust my block position. I slowly lift the back foot off. I still try to keep the standing hip tucked in. Now as I slowly start to straighten through right leg, I only do this if I can keep the engagement of my right external rotators in the hip. Good, and then we want to try to then shift the weight so it's more so in the standing leg, so you feel almost quite light through the hand. Option to rise left arm up, stay 3. Some of you might want to play with coming onto fingertips if you feel comfortable here. Some of you might want to release the block altogether. Up to you, have a go. 2 and 1. Slowly land, bring the hand back onto the block. I want you to circle this left leg around to the left, not easy, and then slowly place it down to the mat. Whew. Inhalation, half lift. With a nice smile, exhale, fold over the legs. Okay, everyone. Inhalation, half lift. Step back, plank pose. Breathing in. On the exhalation, option to come onto the knees, lower slowly to the floor. Roll shoulders back, lift chest. Exhale, push it back, downward facing. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, great everyone. Left leg goes up. Again, we find the support of the standing leg, the standing hip. Bend the knee a little bit, hug the hip in. Exhale, thigh to belly. Left foot more towards left hand. Spin the back heel down. Find your block. You'd be a bit more accustomed now to where you feel might be the most best placed position for your block. Okay, before we go anywhere, tuck this left hip in. Start to load into this front foot. Now remember, at all costs, you want to keep left hip hugged in. I load more into the front leg, start to slowly lift that rear foot off the floor. Feel free to adjust your block. And as I slowly continue to abduct that rear leg, I then start to work into straightening through the standing leg. Keeping the hip, the external rotators of the left hip active. And then again, once you start to feel that comfort, I wouldn't say it's comfort, but more so grounding and stability, load more in the standing foot. Option to play around with getting lighter on the hand. You can even extend the top arm directly up. Some of you might want to play with releasing the block altogether, not easy. Place the hand back on your block, still keep that left hip strong. Start to bring that rear leg out to the right. Still see if you can keep left hip in and slowly lower. Whew, right foot back to the floor. Well done everyone. Inhalation, half lift. Long spine, flat back. Palms to the floor. Step into plank. Exhale, lower to the mat. Fantastic. Shoulders roll back. Inhale, lift the chest. Active glutes. Good, and then exhale. Let's sit back for child's pose. Forehead comes down. Have a few breaths here to regulate, to find some calmness, composure. Breathing in and breathing out. Inhaling. Exhaling. Okay, when you're ready, slowly come up to hero's pose, seated position. That's about all I've got time for today in this 30-minute flow. It's just a brief introduction to the fundamentals of half moon. Now, as we were exploring for today's practice, you notice how much I'm really trying to focus on trying to get that sit bone under in the warrior twos, the triangles, as well as the half moon. That is what's then considered as this coronal plane or frontal plane, abduction and adduction of the limbs. You start to play around with that fundamental there, and through practice you'll start to notice that you really will start to get quite strong in those outer hip areas, and you'll be able to then to eventually work into balancing in the half moon pose and others in the similar plane with ease. It does take a bit of practice. If you're looking for something a little bit longer than a 30-minute practice, I have got many other 60, 75-minute classes on my YouTube channel. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for joining. Thanks for your time. I hope you enjoyed today's 30-minute flow.